Alright people, Max Salden here again. Welcome back to my Big Boss ranked run for Metal Gear Solid 2. You have to roll forward as Raiden, get the center ray, go to the right ray, leg shot, head shot, back over to this left ray, back to the center, and keep repeating that pattern until they jump onto the platform and you can no longer get any shots on them. This is just the best way to start this fight. When this guy starts heading over there, get one last shot on him, then the main ray will jump on. You have to, again, use your little roll or your little cartwheel to get out of the way. And then start heading for the guys on the left and right once you take out the main one. And always be looking at their health. If they only have like one shot of health left, just go for a headshot, because it's a waste of a shot to go for a leg shot when they only have one headshot worth of health left. Meanwhile, always be shooting the new rays that arrive around the edge of the stage before one jumps on. It's just a good way to wound them before you have to fight the next one. But when the next one is on, I tend to run to the right and stick to their right leg for the rest of this fight. Every time a new one jumps on here, I just sort of run around it. If you get too close to it, it will try to stomp you. But if you get behind it, you can sort of force it to dance backwards to try to get to the center of the stage. And it'll open itself up for another attack. So when you've destroyed one and it's got no health left, it's then time to target the ones on the outside. Just try to get anyone out there that you can. If you can get both of them, then that's excellent. Try to get a kneecap and then a headshot. And when the next one comes up, again, start running towards the right. Maybe people prefer going to the left, but for me, I just like running to the right. If you get too close to it, it'll start doing its big laser attack. But it's quite easy to dodge as long as you keep running to the right and don't stop for anything. When it starts dancing backwards, get a leg shot on it immediately before it can do its little missile attack out of its knee. It's the worst attack in this fight. I absolutely hate that missile attack. It's ruined my life. I'm going to be having nightmares about that missile attack. Whoever designed that missile attack, if I ever find out what your name is, I mean, I'm too scared to fly to Japan. I actually hate flying, but I would make an exception to find you and just have a strongly worded conversation about the need for that missile attack from these rays and their kneecaps. But anyway, just keep repeating the pattern. As soon as you destroy the middle one, try to get shots on the ones on the outside of the arena. And when the next one jumps up, only concentrate on the one on the platform. Ignore the ones on the outside. If he starts dancing back like that, there's a good chance he's going to try to do his missile. So try to catch up on him. Don't stand directly in front of him, in between his legs, because again, he will be trying to do his like water cannon move. I believe that's called. Again, he's dancing back because I got too far around the edge of him. That would have been a good time to get a shot on him, but he was only at one bit of health left, so I went for a headshot. Again, once the main one in the center is down, start targeting the ones on the outside. Be careful if they try to machine gun fire you, or if they fire some rockets from their back. If you hear that little noise for the rockets incoming, just don't stop running. Just keep moving, and those rockets that they shoot out of their back, that you will avoid them every single time as long as you don't stand still. Really, you can't afford to stand still in this fight unless there is no ray in the center of the platform. When a new one jumps up, try not to be standing too close to it because it can knock you over. And if you're on the floor when they launch missiles out of their back, you are basically dead, because Raiden will not get up in time. So definitely do not get knocked over. And if they try to stomp you, always be cartwheeling when you're trying to pass one to make it sort of run back like that. If you're going for that technique, always be ready to cartwheel. And again, once you have a center one down to one bit of health, always go for the headshot rather than wasting another leg shot on them. I'm pretty sure speedrunners have other techniques where they stand in one position and set things up a certain way. But really, the only way I got through this was continuing to do this pattern of running to the right. Concentrate on the one in the middle, ignore the ones on the outside, and every time you got one in the middle to no health, then you started taking pot shots at the ones on the outside, trying to get at least one of them with a kneecap shot and then a headshot so that they're pretty much wounded at least once before they jump in. If you can get both of them, good, but if you can only afford to get one before the next guy starts launching missiles or something, don't risk it, just keep running. And when there's one getting ready to jump on, don't be too close to it so it doesn't knock you over. And again, if you get too close to him in front of him, he will do that big water cannon attack. But it's actually kind of good to bait him to do that sometimes, because it's quite easy to run to the, run past it and then just get a kneecap on him. And it's just really one of the best ways to bait him and then just get a shot on him. And again, I like to pass behind them, or try to pass behind them, because it makes them dance. Well, what looks like a strange backward walk dance. And then you can always get a kneecap on them when they're doing that. Don't let them dance backwards for too long, because they will get back into the center. And then they will start trying to do that kneecap missile attack. I don't think we've seen it yet in this fight, and that's because I hate it so much that I was just preventing them from doing it at all costs. I think maybe eventually one of them gets it off, and it's just so hard to cartwheel past that attack. And it's basically every time it happened to me, it was almost 99% guaranteed that the run was over. And this fight, you basically have to play it perfectly for 10 minutes. 10 minutes straight, no mistakes, can't get hit once. You can maybe take some machine gun fire, but really don't even let that happen, because it's just a hassle trying to heal yourself. And the only window... Oh, there's the knee attack. I hate that attack. Oh my god, I can't believe I survived that, to be honest. It's the most terrifying thing in a video game I've ever seen. No horror game, nothing compares to the effect those missiles have on my heart. And I think they should have been called the heart attack missile attack, to be honest. Because every time I see them, it's just, I can't even breathe. It's like, oh my god. And then you actually do survive it once, and it's like such a miracle that you get distracted, and it kind of throws off your entire rhythm, because you're like, oh my god, I actually dodged those missiles, maybe this is the one where I finally do it. And then you're usually too caught up in your own thoughts, and you lose the rhythm. Don't try to count how many rays you have left either, because that will just throw you off. You basically just have to sit here and keep taking them down until you get 20. Don't be trying to count to 20 in your head. It's just another thing that's going to knock you off your rhythm. All you have to be worried about is run to the right, get a kneecap, get a headshot. Run to the right, get a kneecap, get a headshot. And whenever there's not a ray in the center, that's when you go for the guys on the outside. When there's a new one in the center, stop attacking the ones on the outside and try to concentrate on kneecapping and headshotting the ray in the center. Try to stay close to him so he doesn't do his missile attack out of the kneecaps. I've already made my thoughts on it very clear. And try to bait him to do his big water cannon attack, because if you're doing my run to the right plan, it just really can't hit you. And then you can get sort of around behind him, and every time you're sort of passing him or getting around behind him, it makes them sort of do that walk back dance thing, and it's sort of another free shot on them when they're walking backwards. But don't let them get too far back, because they will just stop and stand still, and then you know that they're just about to do the kneecap missile attack. And just anything you can do to avoid the kneecap missile attack, it's worth it. Even if you think you're not going to be able to get a headshot after firing off a random missile, but as long as it prevents the missile coming out of those knees, it's worth doing. And again, running around them, baiting them to do a stomp, and then making them turn around and do that backwards dance back to the middle of the platform. It's always a good time to get a random shot on them. And again, once the one in the center loses his health, as I always say, go back and start trying to get a kneecap and headshot on the ones on the outside. Just be really quick about that before the next guy jumps up, because it just speeds this whole thing up if you've wounded the ones on the outside, at least one of them. And again, just try to roll past them, and don't get hit by that big stomp, because it is just a complete pain. Make him dance back into the center, get your shot on him. His health's down to 0, so I'm aiming on the outside again. Try to wound any of them. But if you hear those missiles going up from their back, or you see them going up, just forget about what you're doing and start running again until you hear those missiles explode behind you. Just don't stop moving until it's over. And then go back to concentrating on whoever's in the center. And again, if they only have one bit of health left on their head, once again, don't waste a kneecap shot. Because you do have to save, you're only allowed 700 shots for the entire big boss run. And I think I used about 200 missiles during this fight, and it got me up to about 640 shots. I think that was my stat. The only way you can see that stat is if you die and see the continue screen before you exit to reload. So yeah, I eventually got all the rays, and I wish there was a more sound, like cheese strategy or something. But I'm sad to say, you just have to get good. There's just no option. You just have to learn that fight, do it over and over again till you memorize their patterns, and you just get into a flow state, and one time you'll just be doing so good, and you haven't even really been thinking about how good you're doing, and then suddenly you're like, wait, is this the last ray? And then it is. Now for this hold breath sequence, just bash triangle with like the nail of your thumb rather than your actual thumb. Just sort of dig into the button and hammer it as much as you can for about 15 seconds, and you should survive that. Back in the day in the PS2, it was like a 60-second thing. Nobody could do it. Like, you needed a turbo pad if you wanted to do it. It was crazy. But they mercifully put it down to 15 seconds on the HD collection and this Master collection. But yeah, don't get complacent. Really hammer that button, because it would be a shame to like get past the rays and then lose to that stupid button mashing section. And then use your 8th and final save just at the start of the Solidus fight after all these codec calls. It's really a really long codec call. It is worth listening to when you're doing the main story, obviously, but we're just trying to skip all this and get straight into the fights on Big Boss. I had a pretty good time for my Big Boss run. It was well under the 3-hour mark. So as long as you sort of followed this video, we'll see my time now currently. I think it was like 2 hours, 8 minutes or something at this point. So yeah, I was at an hour 55 before Ray, and I was in an hour, 2 hour, 8 minutes. So as long as you're around there, you've got plenty of time now. The end credits last 9 minutes, so you have to factor them in. Alright, Solidus, the method is get an attack on him, bait him to kick you, hold L1, get 2 hits, then delay and do a 3rd hit. Make sure he blocks your 3rd hit, and you can bait him into doing his kick over and over again. So get your 2 hits, block, and just wait and get a 3rd hit that he will block, and then you just sort of get him stuck in this pattern. It's a bit hard to like talk about while I'm looking at this footage because it's so fast. If you knock him down fully, you need to run out of there and try to get back into the pattern. Attack him twice, make him hit you, but you'll be blocking. When you block his attack, get 2 hits. Then like sort of delay for a second, and then do a 3rd hit which he will block, and then you get 2 hits again. Oh, and if you get knocked off, just climb back up as quickly as possible. I accidentally got caught by this thing. You don't want to get caught by that. There's a way to break out of it, but I couldn't remember what it was. I think it's you hammer triangle again. If you catch on fire, swap to the BDU uniform, and then put back your body armor. It takes the fire away. For some reason, it's just a nice little way to get rid of the fire. But really all you're doing is this same attack over and over again. If he does that 2 big swings, you have to get out of the way because you can't block that. But Solidus, he was a lot simpler than the Ray fights, just because he has this method where you just get 2 attacks, You sort of delay your third attack, and then he'll be ready for it, and you hit it, and he blocks it, and then you can just keep repeating that over and over again. A lot of people like to cut up his missiles, but I just like to run around him to the right and sort of get in close and try to get back into this pattern again of baiting him to do that big kick. So block the kick, 2 hits, wait a second to throw your third hit, he'll block it, and then you can just keep doing that. Hopefully I explained it pretty well, or people can see what I'm doing, because I just do it over and over again. Again, try to keep quite close to him so that when he does start doing his missiles, he really can't get an angle on you and you can just run around him. The second phase, you really need to be holding L1 to block as soon as he starts doing his like jump around the map attack, setting everything on fire. So just be holding L1 until this little cutscene ends. And just try to aim in his direction and you should block his big shoulder attack. And then I did the 3 hits on him. Try to block a kick, get 2 hits. Delay your third hit and again get back into this pattern. Hit, hit, wait, hit, block. Hit, wait, hit, block. And hopefully people can replicate this. It does take a little while to get the timing down, but it's quite a good cheese, and I think most people should be able to do this. I messed up the block there. Try not to do that. Again, because you have to recover quickly. I put on a bandage to stop that bleeding. If you have a bandage, you can use it there. It doesn't count as healing yourself, really. Only the rations affect the big boss rank. But again, really all you're doing is just that 2 hits, delay, do a third hit that he blocks, and then you can just block his next kick that he does. All you're doing is trying to bait him to do that kick every time and get him stuck in that sort of combo. And you just wear him down over time, and it works on both stages. You just have to be blocking all the time, hold L1 to block. And if he does the big 2 sword thing, you have to get out of the way of it. I haven't found a way to sort of dodge that yet, or how to like make it work into the pattern. But after he does it, you can just sort of get him back into it again. Again, if you get set on fire, swap to the BDUs. He was so nearly dead that I just was more focused on getting the hits. Like he was almost dead here, so I just tried to stay on him. And that was my final hit. And then after that, you have to watch the 9 minutes of credits, and you can't skip that. I'll skip through it here just because we don't need to see that. And then at the end of the game, you can skip this and you will get your playtime. 2 hours 23, saved 8 times, 0 continues, 3 alerts that are mandatory from the story, didn't kill anyone and didn't use any rations, and that will be your big boss rank. Hardest big boss rank in the series, to be honest. I used to think 4 was the hardest, but going back to try to do 2, I think 2 is the hardest by miles. And if you got big boss rank, you really are pretty good at this game. And thanks for watching. I hope I helped you out. Sorry I wasn't always the best at narrating this. It's a bit hard to talk over so much footage. But yeah, thanks for watching. And I'll see you again next time with MGS3. And we'll try to do the Foxhound rank on MGS3 eventually.